So, hello to everybody. I start with unfortunately, a very bad news in the sense that we tried till now to connect with Craig, but he is in Colorado now, having issues with the web connection, and he can't join us. He asked me to tell to all of you that he's extremely sorry for this. He will be available to try again, maybe next week or whatever. I don't know if any of you will be able to connect again. So we are here. So I will quickly try and do what he wanted to do in a very bad way. Of course, I can't talk about hunting as well as he can. Anyway, we had the great pleasure to hunt with Craig 2 years ago for roe deer in central Italy, and now we'll show you soon a video with some of his pictures. Craig came in one of our key areas, being in central Italy, close to Tuscany, Umbria, between Tuscany and Umbria. And he came late in the season for a roe deer hunt. He came with Donna, so we had the great pleasure to host both of them, and we spent 3 amazing days hunting there. At the very beginning, he flew into Rome, and so we started being in Italy with a bit of culture and history. So we touched the main sites, and then we traveled to the hunting area that is in between Rome and Florence. This is a privately owned hunting area, as all the ones we hunt, and the nice thing is that the hunting pressure is very low. So we had the time to go around at the late in the season with the weather that was very mild, so very nice. Craig, as a great hunter he is, was able to collect an amazing roe deer, and Donna, being even a greater hunter, did an amazing, an even better one. You will see some pictures of those. It was quite fun for me to guide them on a hunt because he has so much experience, more than myself. But anyway, he was so kind just to behave as I was the guide and not him. We spent 3 very nice days hunting. I cannot describe his experience because he is the one that should do that. And maybe in the future, if we have the chance to try again something like that with him, he will be able to tell you more. Anyway, we hunted a bit. It's a very relaxed kind of hunting. We walked on some dirty roads into the small fields where the animals comes out and feed in the morning and evening. And during the rest of the day, we enjoyed different activities. Being in Italy, it means you are not just going to hunt, but you're going to experience many different things. So we visited places like Assisi or Gubbio, that are 2 small medieval villages. We went for wine tastings. You see some pictures there. We had a great fun there. We went visiting a castle. The wine tasting was in a castle of 1,100 years old, so quite impressive. We went visiting an olive oil farm. So we did many different things. The time with him was quite short. He had only 3 days available, because after that he was traveling to Africa, so a much more exciting hunt probably. As I said, I don't want to speak for him, and I hope next time he will be there. He will be here to tell you much more. I will do a general introduction of what we do, so not only on him, but we don't only hunt central Italy, we hunt also northern Italy, mainly for chamois and red stag in the Italian Alps. That's a much more challenging hunt, a much more active hunt, but it's again very nice because once again The hunt is, of course, is free range, and we have very good trophies on both. But once again, we like outline the experience you get while there. So while hunting, as Craig did in central Italy, you can see Rome, Florence, go for wine tastings in Tuscany. If you go hunting in northern Italy, you can see different places, meaning Venice, meaning Milan, Turin, the lake region, as the picture we are looking at now, um, and and a totally different region and a totally different hunt. Of course, there as well, there are some things that we like doing every time. We are Italians. We like eating well, so that's always key part. We like drinking well. We always go and visit some vineyards or these kind of places. Um, and we like, as I said, giving uh, a great hunting experience, but even more an overall Italian experience. That's what we really aim for. Um, while traveling with us, as I said, we combine hunting and tourism not only during the hunting days, but we design tours that are tailored on the wishes of each guest, where we like showing some of, let's say, the must-do and some other totally different things. The picture we are looking at now, for example, that's a white truffle hunt. So we went with some guests. We went with Trifulao and his dog, looking for these truffles in Langhe region, that is one of the most important food and wine regions in Italy. We like visiting, for example, with other guests who were passionate about sporting cars. We went visiting the Ferrari factory. Of course, we are all hunters. We like the guns and we shoot them. So we went many times visiting factories like Beretta, so huge and industrialized, but also some very small boutiques like Piotti, for example, that produce uh, 20, 25 guns a year, handmade, so really craftsmanship. Um, so the experience you get while traveling with us is um, focus on the hunt. That's our key focus. In Italy, we have some of the nicest hunts, I would say, in Europe for sure on the mountains, but of course also in Tuscany because the landscape is very unique. All the areas we hunt, and I can say that easily, it's are among the best in the country. They're all privately owned, free range, with very low hunting pressure, um, and allows us not only to go and look for the right trophy, but to really make you feel the hunt and make you part of it. So you will not be simply pulling a trigger. You will be part of it. You will get that, and you will get the feeling of what living in Italy is. So you will see, you will meet people. That's one of the key things we want to do. You will experience amazing restaurants, but also the small trattorias where we like to go. Um, you will see the most important, some of the most important historic sites in the world, but also experience the countryside. So it's really a 1 or 2 weeks time where you will enjoy it. And most important, the whole group will enjoy it. It's not something just for hunters. We like saying successful hunters and happy wives being our motto, because that's quite true. In fact, we put the same effort in taking care of our non-hunting guests as we do with our hunters. Um, we have, of course, a number of pre-designed tours that, in our experience, offer a very broad and and nice experience of specific regions. But then we like to tailor them as much as we can on the wishes, as the few examples I was doing before, of each guest. If Craig was here, I would have went with him through a couple of these programs because those were the one that he partially lived. So the ones basically in Rome and Florence and Tuscan countryside. Now, I will not bore you too much. I want to, the main thing was really um, to get Craig talking about that because he is much better than me on speaking. Um, So this is approximately it. If you have questions and you want to receive more information, please just write us, or on the website you can find a form, or you can write to me directly. My email is leone.rossi@italiansafari.com. And I really hope we'll see a new invitation in a few days, and try this time to have Craig joining. So I also see that some of you did some few questions. If others have, please just write them down. I will try and answer. So William, you're asking about getting the trophies home. So yes, it's very easy. We take care of that as everything else we do. So we work with an Italian taxidermist. Once you shoot the trophy, we bring the trophy to the taxidermist. He will prepare it the way you want. He's highly experienced, of course, with all the Italian animals. So you can choose to have it mounted here and then shipped. And in that case, it's really very easy. Usually it takes between 2 and 3 months, the whole process. We take care of the shipment until the US border. And once there, we connect with your border agent. And from then going forward, it's just in the US, so it's up to you. You can also decide to have the trophy mounted in the States or in other countries, of course. In that case, the only thing we suggest is having the skin tanned in Italy, because otherwise shipping it goes through the food process, so it's much more difficult. But apart from this last thing, it's very, very easy. The second question, William Jones, how hard to import firearms? That's also pretty easy. The process, in fact, is easy and quick. So we'll send you an invitation letter stating where you will be hunting, when, and stating that we will take care of all the hunting permits and mandatory insurances. With that, you will have to go to the Italian embassy or consulate, or even mail the document, and they will ask for some other small documentations. With all of that, they will provide you an import permit. With that import permit, you just simply fly in, and that's it. So it's very easy. What I have to say is that in many times, especially if you are going to do a lot of tourism in Italy, while it's very easy to bring your firearm in, it might be a bit more difficult um, to travel around the country with your rifle. That's because the Italian legislation is very strict. You cannot leave the gun in a car. In theory, you cannot even leave it in a hotel. So it's a bit difficult if you go in a big city like Venice or Rome, traveling around with your rifle. So that's a bit more difficult. And that's why many guests decide to hunt with ours. We use Blaser or Sauer rifles, different calibers according to the hunt we're going to do, and mostly with Swarovski optics. You will have you will test the rifles before going on a hunt, so that might be very convenient too. So a couple of other questions coming, that's great. So Dominic, traveling from the UK through France or Germany, well, until Brexit, it would have been very easy. Now I don't know. Anyway, yes, if you have a EU firearm pass, there's no problem at all. So you will simply drive in with that. Of course, you have to have the rifle, the specific rifle on the firearm pass, but that's everything is required. So very, very easy. You don't have to do any sort of documentation. You simply drive through. Christoph, yes. So a typical road deer hunt. Yeah, so the hunt is mainly in summertime. So starting June 15 usually, until the end of September. I'm saying mainly because, in fact, we also hunt them in the mountains, but I will quickly describe it later. The main region is central Italy, Tuscany and Umbria. We have two hunting areas, and they are in between Rome and Florence, 2 hours from both cities. So very convenient. We leave from Florence or Rome, or we directly find at the hunting area. The hunt, we can do it in two ways. One way is to hide on a high seat, and wait for the animals in the early morning and late evening to get in the fields to feed. Um, that's a very good way to hunt, and it's a nice experience because the landscape is very nice, hilly, and you have the chance to see many animals, and even and more important, very relaxed animal. They will not know you're there, so it's a really a way you can observe the nature around you. Um, Roe deer is very take the habits a lot. So when we know a specific buck come in a field, then if it's not the evening, it's the morning after, or if not the morning, the evening, he will be there again. So that's also a convenient way to hunt. Um, Roe deer is very, very spooky. So usually it would be extremely difficult to stalk them. But as I said in the beginning, the areas we hunt are privately owned with a very low hunting pressure. That means that animals are very relaxed. And therefore, we also really like to stalk them, meaning that we'll probably walk on dirty roads, looking into small fields in between the forest. And that's what Craig did, for example. Once we spot the animals, we stalk them and we try taking shots, never too long because anyway, it's a small target and you will be shooting from the sticks. So it's not the easiest of the shots. This way hunting is of course a bit more active and usually allows to see more bucks and to be a bit more selective. It's not tiring. Of course, if you like, you can walk a lot. It really depends. But the landscape is very gentle, so it's not very, very tiring usually. As I said, we hunt early morning and late in the evening, these two ways. The two areas we hunt, in one case, we sleep in a small hotel near Gubbio, into Gubbio village. Gubbio is one of the better conserved medieval villages in Italy. We stay in a small hotel that is right on the central square, so a really nice atmosphere. And we drive back and forth from there to the hunting area is 10 minutes. In the other case, the owners of the area allows us to stay in their own villa. So that's also a very nice way to, as I said before, to experience like Italy means, not just to hunt there. So we will staying at their villa, sleeping there. The villa is right in the middle of the hunting area. And therefore from there, we will go out either walking or by car if we have to move a bit and then start the hunt. The villa is also a very nice kind of experience because it's more in the countryside. We have a swimming pool there, and the best thing we have, it's the greatest lady chef you can imagine. So you will eat incredibly good things, including the trophy shot. So it's very nice. So this is talking about a bit more specifically about the hunt. So Russell, you're asking about the meat, if it's possible to bring the meat into the States or not. Unfortunately, not. That's not a problem with Italy, so there's no issues on shipping the meat out of Italy. Of course, it's a bit expensive because it goes through all the food and drugs, let's say, shipping process. So it's a bit expensive, but there's no issues. The problem is once the meat gets in the US border, in certain cases, it simply cannot get in. Give you the example of the wild boar, no ways to get it in, it's forbidden. On roe deer, in theory, is possible, but I have to be honest, the 3 times that guests asked us to do that, then the meat stayed so long in the border that once they got it, it was just all wasted. So the real answer is no, you cannot bring the meat in. The 2 good things is first that you will eat it while here in Italy. So if you are lucky and good enough to get the trophy, your animal early on the hunt, or at least we have more tourist days after the hunt, we will prepare that for you. So that's a good way. In some other situations, we also we also prepare some processed meat products, so some salami, and we ship that. And that was a bit easier because being dried, even if they waited a bit, it was not a problem. So that's the thing. Dominic, about wild boar. Wild boar can be hunted exactly the same way as roe deer and on the same time, on the same season. Many times, in fact, while hunting roe deer, we see wild boars and we shoot them. The Italian wild boar is slightly smaller than the Eastern European one or the Russian one. Very, very spooky, extremely exciting hunt. Um, so it's possible to combine the both easily. Uh, when guests want to come specifically for wild boars, or in other cases where they want to tour around Italy off the summer busier season, we go specifically hunting for wild boar. The hunt is basically the same as for roe deer. The main difference is that we like going in winter and March, April. Therefore, the weather is not as hot as in summertime, and we don't hunt just very early in the morning and very late in the evening, but a bit more during the day. That's for hunters, let's say for single hunters or small groups, 2, 3. For larger groups, for 6, 8, or 10 or more hunters, we do driven hunts. That's a totally different world. That's probably the most exciting hunt you can do in Italy. The Italian driven hunt for wild boar is extremely exciting and very different from everywhere else because you are not hunting in open forest where you can see very far away. You are hunting in places where you can just see 10 meters, 30 feet in front of you. That's all. So you will hear the animals coming with all the dogs barking and noise and things. You will hear him running, but you can't see it. And once you see it, it's just a matter of a couple of seconds, sometimes even less, when he jumps in front of you and you have to be quick enough to shoot. So that's a really, really exciting hunt. We can do that just with groups, of course, but that's probably the most traditional way to hunt wild boars. And as everything in Italy, when traditions come in, it means comes in a lot of wine and a lot of good food. So the breakfast and the lunch after the hunts are among the most important moments of the whole day. So that's about wild boar hunting. Said Barma talking about wild boar again. So yes, I already answered. Um, Christoph about mouflon sheep. Yes, we hunt mouflon sheep too. We hunt them in 3 different areas. So we hunt in one area that is in Sicily, but that's the only high fenced area we hunt. Um, it's um, it's a good way if you want to travel and tour southern Italy. It's a good way to spend a couple of days hunting, so that's fun. But if you really want to go for mouflon, and that's the key thing, then we suggest two other options. One is to hunt in the mountains, where Eric, that I know is here, I'm seeing you writing back and forth in the chat. So where Eric went, well, he was hunting for chamois, but mouflons were there as well, in the area at least. So mouflon sheep in the mountains is an extremely challenging hunt, extremely, probably the most challenging. They are extremely spooky because basically we had tons of them. Then wolves came, and they are the first animal that wolf will kill because basically they are not as used as the chamois, the ibex, and the stag to the snow. So they basically learn to live in the highest part of the mountains, and as soon as they see you 500 meters away, they will run away. So it's extremely challenging to approach them. And the second thing is that they move very, very far when wolves come in. And that's probably the biggest issue because you can have mouflons in the area and see 100 or 80 of them in one day. Then during the night, the wolves come through, and the day after, you can't see them because they are not there. So there's nothing you can do with it. So that's the mountain hunt. That's why we usually suggest, if that's the focus, to try to go for a chamois and being flexible. If mouflons are there and if you find them, then instead of shooting the chamois, you can shoot the mouflon. That's a convenient way because if they are not there, you still have the chamois to hunt. That, by the way, it's by far my favorite hunt, chamois. The third option is Croatia. It's a bit strange. It's not Italy, okay, but it's just 45 minutes flying from Rome, and therefore it's even possible, and we do it most of the time, in fact, to combine the Croatian hunt with tourism in Italy. The good thing in Croatia is that it's free range, so it's not like Sicily, and you hunt them in the Rocky Mountains just overlooking the sea. Therefore, the natural habitat of mouflon. You have more animals. The hunt is definitely easier than in the mountains. Therefore, that's probably, in our view, if you want to see to look for mouflon, that's the focus. Then Croatia is probably the best way. We have one hunting area there. We travel with you while there, so it's not, we're not reselling hunts. So we organize the hunt. We come with you. Of course, we have local hunting guides that are there all the time. But we fly with you from Italy if you are in Italy before, or we wait for you in Split at the airport. And from there we drive together, and we are with you, either myself or one of my colleagues. We are with you the whole time. You can also, I was mentioning that, talking about Croatia, you can combine that with hunting in Italy, with tourism in Italy, but in fact you can tour Croatia as well, especially certain time of the year is really nice. Cities like Dubrovnik, it's just amazing. The coastline is amazing, the islands. So it's also very interesting to go there. That's about mouflon. So I think I tried to answer a bit, and I tried in a very bad way, and I know, to save the webinar, because the big thing was having Craig here. I know, and I'm really sorry for this. I'm sorry for all of you. I'm sorry for myself. Craig was sorry for himself. We will organize a new one. If you will have the time to join, even just for a few minutes, it will be great. Craig will be there. He will talk more about his experience. And as I said, nobody can talk about hunting better than him. I feel very fortunate I had the chance to hunt with him. So I really look forward to this. I want to thank you all, because I see that many of you are still there, even if it's just me talking. So thank you for this. I hope this was a good way to break down with the lockdown that we are all living in. Italy now finally is totally open, is totally back to normality. So we are able to go around, we are able to go hunting, we are able to tour. We have almost zero contagions as of today, and in the last approximately 10 days. So I want to close the webinar with this message, so saying that we went through something very difficult with all the virus thing, and I know that many of you are experiencing the same now. I hope that all of you will have the same experience we had, so things will quickly turn from very, very bad to normal. So I really wish to all of you this will happen very soon. I hope to see you again in Italy or in the States at the shows, or in the next webinar with Craig. So thank you very much. If you have any more questions, please just write us. I will be happy to talk about hunting again. So have a good day, and thanks for joining.